entrepreneurs. Another beautiful day in this life. Welcome. Welcome to my live town hall. And today I just want to share some information with you about taxes and a particular strategy that will help you to eliminate, reduce, lower the stress that usually comes up at tax time. So if you're joining me for the first time, thank you and welcome. If you're a regular visitor to my call, appreciate having you and continue to stay with me. Remember to subscribe to my channel, my YouTube channel, so you can continue to get updated information as I can continue to share it with you, my empowered entrepreneur. Remember, my goal is to empower you to be the better version of, to be motivated, inspired, uplifted to go about your daily activities. So, my name is Jim, Coach Jim Foster, the business training coach. My objective is always to empower entrepreneurs, especially startup entrepreneurs, those who are new in the business or of that entrepreneurship and are facing the challenges that some of which you did not even expect or anticipate, but um, you nevertheless face them. And so I give you an opportunity to provide a source that you can always reach out to when you need help and some direction. So why am I here today? Well, I'm also a tax strategist. So, in addition to being a business coach, another area of my focus is tax preparation, tax filing, tax consulting, because taxes is a critical aspect of the business that you engage in, and you will always have to deal with that. So, I put a little focus on that to help you along the way. Now, today would be the traditional D-Day for taxes, tax deadline, when your filing has to be done in order to be considered timely. Now, next week, write this down, next Saturday, in my town hall 2, I will be talking specifically to two audience. Number one are those who you may consider yourself the habitual uh, late filer, late filers, and also those tax debtors. If you owe the IRS, then I'm going to be talking with you and I'm going to be sharing some valuable strategies and tips that you can make a change in. It's a behavior pattern. So, how you can make a change in that pattern and ultimately relieve yourself of the problem of actually owing taxes and having Uncle Sam on your back. So, um, make a note of that. Saturday, the 19th at 10 a.m. right here on these stations. I will be sharing with you and talking with you. So um, I am going to give you opportunity to ask questions towards the end of this broadcast, which should be between 20, 30 minutes. Um, there is an important strategy that I want to cover, but before I do, let me share this with you in case you did not know it. If you're living in the state of uh, Arkansas, I think there are seven of them: Arkansas, Virginia, North and South Carolina, Tennessee, I believe Kentucky as well, and of course, right here in Georgia. These seven states have been given a reprieve. So your deadline for filing has been extended from today. So you have another 2 weeks to the end of to the first day of May. Now that's not to say that you should procrastinate and put it off, but it is done because some of you have been affected by the weather. And I mentioned I had to run down to my basement a few times when the warning came out for those tornadoes. And so some of you may be in disarray. Your stuff might be lost if it's blown away and all of that. My heart go out to you. But that is the reason why Uncle Sam has extended it to give you a little bit more time to take care of it. So just a note for you if you live in any of these states. Um, Let me see. Is there anything else? I think that basically covers the few announcements I wanted to make. So, how many of you find yourself in a state of stress and panic when it comes to tax time, especially the 15th of August? How many of you? Go ahead and put a one in the chat box if that is you. Um, how many of you been looking for a way to avoid this? Because you know it can't be good. You don't feel good. And my mantra is you have an obligation to yourself to feel good always. So how can you get around this? What's a workaround so that you can avoid that stress, that panic when the time comes to file your taxes? Well, hang tight with me because I'm going to share with you what I call my three touch point automated method. This is a simple method. It's nothing new, but I have just uh, simplified it to help individuals to accomplish this. It involves, first of all, first of all, identifying an accounting system to use to do your accounting, your bookkeeping. One of the things you'll always find me referring to when it comes to bookkeeping and accounting is keeping score, knowing your numbers. It's very important to know your numbers. That way you can have more success in business. You can make better decisions. And what I'm sharing with you is a method of always being on top of your numbers. So it's a very simple method, and it allows you to basically automate the process so that the three touch points that I'm going to share with you are basically the only three things that you have to do to have it set up and have it running for you. So let's talk about the first touch point. Touch point number one is setting up an accounting system, a bookkeeping system. And this is where you employ or you acquire one of the accounting systems. If you have a background in finance, you can do it yourself on an Excel spreadsheet. I don't really recommend it because that is also time consuming. One of the goals that we want to do is buy back your time. So you can spend your time that you would put into this aspect into operating your business that actually make you money. So as a time saver, you set up a bookkeeping system. There's Intuit, there's Wave, there's Zero, FreshBooks, and any number of them. And many of them do offer you a free version. So if you're just getting started, you never had that before, or you didn't have someone doing your books for you, then you could start with that free version and then you upgrade as the need arises. So when you acquire that system, then the first thing that you need to do is to set up your chart of accounts. Your chart of accounts is simply an indexing in the system that you set up for the areas that you are going to be operating in. So on your chart of accounts, you'll have the section for income, for example. So there you have your suppliers. Who do you buy from, your regular purchases? So when you make a purchase, it will automatically go into that area of the system. And then there is the expense section where you are going to list the things that you normally would be purchasing and acquiring. So when you make a purchase, then it will filter right into that section of your bookkeeping system. And you're going to see why in a moment. So that setup is the first step. And you can set it up yourself. You just have to follow the guidelines. But if you need help, you can also reach out and so that you can be more specific and accurate with it. So that's number one, setting up the basis for your automation. Now, the second touch point, the second touch point is to be found right here with this little device that these days you never leave home without, your phone. And what you will do with this is go into your phone app and you download that bookkeeping system. They will generally have an app for receipts. So you download that app, and when you make a purchase, you simply scan that receipt into the app on your phone, and you never have to touch it again. Second touch point. Now, let me explain a little bit here about how that also works. So you have, for the receipts that you put in, they will automatically filter into your bookkeeping system. And there they will accumulate in the order in which it was done. Well, the second part to make this automated system perfected is with your sales. So when you make a sale, you typically, and if you haven't set up a merchant system for collecting payment, people are paying by debit card, credit card. Had someone yesterday who was trying to pay cash, and that was quite a challenge. So we have literally moved into the cashless society these days. But for those of you who still function with cash, that's where you typically have to do it manually. But with the merchant system, your merchant system, when you set it up, will be directed to go right into your bank account. So when someone swipes their credit card or input their information, then the fund will go into their system, and you set it up automatically to transfer over to your bank account. So let's take, for example, you're using Square. There's Square, there's PayPal, there is Stripe, and a bunch of others, but those are three of the most common ones. So when you set up your Stripe, you will actually set it up so that the funds can be transferred to your bank. And there are two ways it can be done. Instantly, for which there is a small fee, or overnight by the next day, or they tell you up to 3 days, but usually it will get there by the next day. So let me, someone a phone as part of my broadcasting system. Okay, so once the fund is paid, it goes from the merchant system, Square, Stripe, wherever, and then it goes into your bank account. The next time you see it is when it shows up into your bank account. So when you have these two things, these two streams filtering into your bank account, when you set up your bookkeeping system, the bank account is also set to automatically transfer transactions into your bookkeeping system. Are you beginning to see a process emerging here? So once you do your setup, and then the system takes over, and your third touch point is at the end of the month. And there are two little things that you do at the end of the month. Number one is to reconcile your transactions. So when you go in, just like when you go into your bank account to reconcile your bank on that statement at the end of the month, with your accounting system, you go in and you do that same thing. You reconcile that, and reconciling is simply to make sure that all your transactions are listed. Then once that is done, and what you'll find when it is reconciled is that the left side will be equal to the right side. Your income will be equal to your your expenses. This is another fundamental part of accounting, where your net worth really is equal to your assets and minus your liabilities. But those two, the liability and your own owner's equity, equals your asset. Fundamental rule in accounting. We'll get to that at another time. However, now that you have done this, the last part of number 3 touch point is to hit print report. And there are 3 reports that will be produced from this activity. Number 1 is your income statement. Your income statement, also called your profit and loss statement. What does that tell you? It tells you, number 1, if you're making money in your business and how much money you're either making or losing. So that statement tells you what came in and what goes out and what do you have left. That's the bottom line. Income statement, profit and loss. Statement number 2 is your cash flow statement. And the cash flow statement tells you, where did that money come from? Where did it go? So it basically tracks the flow. That's why I call it cash flow. It tracks the flowing of the cash in and out of your account. So when you look at that statement at the end of the month, you will pretty much know if you met all your obligations or not. And if not, what do you have outstanding? What didn't get taken care of? What do you need to focus on for the next time? That's your cash flow statement. Now, the third piece or statement is your balance sheet. And the balance sheet essentially is a snapshot of where you are at that point in time financially. In other words, if you were to liquidate your business, sell your business and get out, what will you walk away with? After everything is sold, how much will you have left over? That is called your net worth. And so the net worth takes into consideration what you owe minus what you have, and that's yours. So if you're striving to have a net worth of $1 million, then you know that you would have to, that is going to be what is left over after all your obligations, your bills, your debt has been settled. I teach using your net worth as a measuring guide as you progress in your business. Because at the end of the day, why are you in business? For most, it's either to have freedom, independence, and financial security. Your financial security is what supports your independence and your freedom, allowing you to travel wherever you want, when you want, who you take with you, how long you're traveling, stuff like that. So by keeping your eyes on that single section, your net worth as the ultimate, then you will be able to measure and monitor your growth. And as you grow, then your net worth to the point where you can do all the things that you want to do for yourself. Okay? Does that all make sense? If that makes sense to you, then go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Put a 1 in the chat box. Let me know who is out there. Let me know what you're doing and how you are enjoying and benefiting from what I'm sharing with you. Okay, so that covers that's all I'm going to share with you right now on those 3 touch points. At another point, I'll go into more depth in those areas. So, excuse me. In my in my last town hall, I talked about the 23 little known tax deductions that employers, too many self-employed individuals are missing, simply because you might not know about them. And I have produced that a list of those 23. If you registered for this session, then you would automatically get a copy of it. If you are listening just live on Facebook or so, then you can DM me and I will send you a copy of that 23 little known deduction. But let me give you a few of them to whet your appetite. Um, let's take health insurance premiums. There's all kind of questions around this. Many, especially startups, for example, may sometimes take advantage of the affordable care insurance where a part of the premium is subsidized because health insurance is so high. But if you um, uh, you can only participate in that if your income is within a certain range. So once you get outside of that range, then you have to secure your own health insurance and pay in full for it. If you are self-employed, if you have a business and you're registered as a LLC, any registration like that, then you will have the ability to actually write off your health insurance premium, but it has to be purchased through your business. It cannot be just a personal, it has to be purchased through your business. And that way you can write that off of your taxes. Here's the good news. If you pay the premiums for your employees, then you can also write off their premium too. So that will give you a nice big tax break. Here's another deduction that you can write off. And there are a couple of things tied up in this here. Number one, when you're getting started in your business, did you know that all the research and expenses that you incurred in setting up the business before you actually get rolling, those can be written off? Yes, it can, because it is business related. You spent money to do research, you spent money hiring a consultant, a coach to help you set up. All of those are eligible for write-offs. Um, uh, so they lost my thought there for a second before the setup, but also um, the education and training expenses after you have established your business is also a deductible item. So if you went to in all those courses that you go to, um, they can be written off. Make sure you have your receipts and stuff, for all of those. They are deductible expenses. Conferences that you go to, all the travel expense you fly to a conference in Vegas, all of that can be written off. And of course, if you're in Vegas, you're going to have some fun too. So because that's where you can have a write-off of a mini vacation. Here's another little known write-off that can be huge. 401k contribution. You can I think the limit is right now about 8,000 that you can contribute to a regular 401k or retirement plan for yourself. That can be written off, that can be deducted. And as a matter of fact, contributions also give you a tax credit. I talk about the difference between tax credit and deduction in a recent broadcast. But so that works two ways for you. But here's something else that so many people don't even know exists. It's called a solo 401k. This is a program that was put in several years ago. Little known, but with the solo 401k, you can deduct. Listen to this. You might have to grab a seat if you're standing. But you can deduct up to $70,000 for the year. Did you hear me? Up to $70,000 for the year. Now, it doesn't mean you just go right in and write off $70,000, but you got to understand the condition and the provision for doing so. But that is huge. because that factors into your ultimate goal of being in business, of creating financial security. And you want to establish a kind of financial security that you control. Okay? So those are a few of the write-offs. Here's another one. And I did a return where we had to bring in some of these because this individual had about 4 credit cards that were closed out. And so, when you close out a debt, you actually get what is called a 1099-C. Um, I sigh at this point because as a result of that, those credit cards that were forgiven, it increased that individual's taxable income by $20,000, and consequently, they had to end up paying quite a bit on their taxes. So the that's the good news and the bad news. You can't those bad debts. Well, there are two aspects here, so I should clarify that. What I just shared with you, that it is added to your income, that is when a debt is forgiven, like a loan or a credit card. Those are forgiven. You don't have to pay them anymore. You might have paid a reduced amount to settle it. But the difference you get a 1099-C for, and that is counted as income in the year when it was done. Now, the other kind of bad debt that you can write off is when you could not collect on payments that is due to you, business payments. That's a bad debt, and you can write it off. If you buy supplies that has to be thrown out because it is stale dated, you cannot sell that anymore. All those can be written off. So there's a ton of things that can be written off that a lot of people just don't know about. Hey, about all those banking fees. All those are deductible expenses that cuts down on your taxable income, allowing you to pay less taxes. But as I said, just request that 23 little known tax deductions, and you'll have it so you can work with it. Okay. All right. So kind of coming close to wrapping up the time that I wanted to spend with you this morning. It is always a pleasure being here. And so before I leave, I want to share two things with you. Number one, just to remind you to join me on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. Same station right here. And there I will be talking about more tax stuff. This is a tax season, so we're going to stay with it until it's over. But even after the deadline pass, there are tax issues that has to be dealt with. Number one, if you didn't file by that time, then you may have filed an extension. And that is one way to stay in the good books of the IRS. If you find you cannot file by the deadline, then you file an extension. That extension gives you until October to complete your filing. But you always want to get it done as early as possible. Here's why. If you owe taxes, then you are going to pay penalties. Two kind of penalty. I'm going to dive deep this on Saturday, but you have to pay penalties and interest, and those can be huge. That can be very damaging to your financial situation. So be sure to join me on Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, same station, same channels, and we talk about these for those people who are late filing, and they're always late filing. I'm going to show you a way, a strategy that you can avoid that and keep your hair from getting gray, other than from age. And and also, if you have a tax debt, if you owe the IRS right now, you want to be on this call on Saturday morning, because I am going to show you how, number one, you can get that debt eliminated, and then also how to avoid falling into that trap again. Okay? So put it down in your calendar. Join me on Saturday morning. And if you know anyone that is in this situation that has these problems, tell them to come and join me, because that way they will you'll get to understand ways that you can get out of it. Okay? All right. So the last thing that I want to invite you to do is to book a strategy call with me if you have a burning question that cannot wait until Saturday. I'm always available. I make time for you, my empowered entrepreneurs. My goal is to help you to get to where you want to be. Okay. So book a strategy call, and you probably will have the link in the chat. We have that put in here so you can get that. It's okay. I just put it in the chat. HTTPS colon, the backslash bit.ly/book with Jim. That's the link to my calendar, so you can book a call, complimentary call. It won't cost you a penny to book that call with me. And I'll give you some time to answer your questions and help you navigate your way out. So listen, it is Saturday morning. Thank you for taking the time to spend it with me. I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it and benefit from it as much as I do. And after this, I'm going to go out and maybe play some golf or something. It's a beautiful day right here. So whatever you do for fun and entertainment to make your life a better life, go do it. Thank you for joining me. Have an awesome day. Jim Foster, tuning out.